So this is my second inverted lantern, and be honest with you, I like it. I like it better in a lot of respects. It's not that it's any different. It's 100% the same components, everything. I just think I like the color scheme better, and I like the holiday symbol on it. And that's one thing I really like about the other holiday lanterns I have. Well, I have, let's see where I have. Oh, one. Got one holiday, and besides this one. And I just, I like going on holidays. And I think it's a good motto. It's a holiday. You take these out, have fun with your family. And a lot of times you do it on like I said, it's a Memorial Day or something like that, and 4th of July maybe, Labor Day. You might take it down to like if you're camping out for NASCAR, or out in the forest in Oregon with your friends somewhere in a campground, right? I remember a long time ago in a galaxy far away, when I was little, we used to live in Oregon, in Salem. And our family, we went to Eastern Oregon to this Indian resort called Canada. And, there was all these wild horses and stuff like that, and it was out in the middle of nowhere. And it's like, that's the kind of place I would love to go camping, This weekend, my family and I, this last weekend, we went to Ukiah. And it's a little town. They grow a ton of grapes. And then we drove through the forest to get to Fort Bragg. But there was a lot of people halfway in between in the forest. They were pulling over to go camping and all that, We wanted to go to Yosemite, but it was going to be like 104 degrees, so we didn't go. But yeah, there's some magic about camping. It's just a real peaceful type thing, But these lanterns just remind me of all the relaxation you have with your family and your friends when you're just kind of out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, this is not out in the middle of nowhere, but it still has some of that magical charm. And I think we need to remember that why we do this. It's like, for me, there's a bunch of different reasons why I collect lanterns. Number one, I'm a car guy, and I got a family, and I got a lot of bills with a family that go along with it. We own a house and stuff. It's like, all my cars are paid and everything, but nevertheless, my son's autistic. My daughter, she's normal, got kids and all that. But I don't have the time, and I certainly am not going to, put out the money on cars for a hobby anymore. Other than when I work on our cars, I maintain all our cars, and that's where I'll fork the money. But it's like, that's just because we need the cars to drive to work and all. So I needed a hobby that was not so expensive, and this was a great one. California's a pretty expensive place to live. There was a day back when I was younger where it's like, I love cars. I wheeled and dealed, and I've traded so many cars in my life. But now it's like, we have other priorities, and priorities are my family. So this is the hobby that fits my lifestyle, and I really enjoy it. And it also has some practical aspects. Is that you can light things up with them, and they're just cool and relaxing. It's like being near a fireplace. So the last one I restored, it wasn't that great. It was okay. I was missing one of those pieces, just like this. It only had two of the support rods, just like this one. So I got lucky, and Eric was able to find a guy in Minnesota who had that piece, and he also had the light reflector for me, and he had one of the little tidbits that go in there, the threaded inserts that holds the chimney. So I got really lucky. And then don't forget Danny Vallejo. on Facebook for the decals. He does a great job. So if you need one, go on Facebook. You can find him there. And you know, I sent him a picture. I said, "Hey, you got this, or can you make this?" And he's a great guy. He'll come up with what you need, and he's really fair and reasonable in prices on that type of thing. But yeah, the other one I sold. I just figured it's like it's time to pass it on to somebody else. There's not that many of these, you know. But I did find another one because I really enjoy the challenge of restoring these things. And a lot of people are scared of these. They look complicated and all, but in truth, they're not complicated in any way, shape, or form. They're really simple. There isn't a whole lot of parts to these things. I mean, I could literally take this thing apart and put it back together in my, with a blindfold on. They're just not. There's not that much to them. I mean, they're inverted and all. They've got a when it comes to the fuel. In reality, let's see if I can flip this thing around without scratching it. Probably drop and break the globe. You know, gotta do that. All right. But reality, what you have here is you've got a fuel tube that goes up into the tank, and it has a mesh screen on it at the bottom, because the fuel obviously at the bottom. Fill it up just like, you know, at the top here, like you do with the other one. It's got the typical pump that like a Camp Light or AGM has. And so it's nothing scary or different there. And then from there, you've got your valve that's connected to, it's an elbow, and like I say, the fuel tube goes up. And then you got a side fitting right there with a small fuel tube. It's copper, brass, whatever it may be. And it leads on down to the generator. Screws onto the side of the little piece that's screws on right here, and then from there the generator threads on just like a typical generator, and it goes inserted into the air mixer chamber, which is it's not like a typical one, but it's pretty much all the same principles and everything. It's got the same your generator pricker right there. And then at the bottom, like I say, you just you attach your mantle the same way to the air chamber, and then there is a retainer with 3 screws from the support rods that screw on and hold the globe on, and then you have a cage, which I call a foot, which is just inserted into this bottom body right here. Nothing else to it. Now this paint I used is a hammer tone. It is getting a little sticky, to be honest with you. You know, sometimes it's hit or miss with these paints, how they're going to work out. Top one, it's okay. It's a little sticky too, but what I have found over time is that these type of paints that do this, once they kind of heat up and they're going to cook a little bit, it's going to, that's going to go away. And if it doesn't, so what? You just sand it off and respray it, no big deal. And then this little piece right here, it's not as sensitive as people like to make out. Now, if it's all corroded and rusted out, yeah, it'll probably snap. Same thing with this little guy right here. This one here is spot welded right here. It just fits right on. It's just a little ring. So you have this top piece right here, you have this, and then you have the inner stack, and then you have the outer stack, and they're just held together. They got these little spacers. There's a top set of spacers and a bottom set of spacers. Now the bottom set of spacers are kind of crimped a little bit so that when you thread the screws through, they kind of stay on there when you're sticking the whole assembly in there, and it pushes in the center there. And then you screw it down. There's another piece in here, and it goes over the air intake to the air fuel mixing chamber. And all it is a little box. It's got a little screen. My screen was missing. I made a new screen. And it just basically keeps insects from getting in there and plugging everything up, that type of thing. So there isn't a whole lot. There's some space. There's a spacer in there. I actually, for each of the support rods, I ended up using some stainless steel nuts in there, which worked out just fine. So like I say, and then you have the bell and the tank. It's just like any other tank. And if you get one of these things and you find that the tank a lot like somebody had a tank and it was just really gummed up with a ton of varnish and all of that, and it took them forever shaking and soaking and dumping and doing it again and again. Yeah, you're probably going to end up, there's probably some people that just used this thing to death, and they probably used just regular gasoline. And back in the 50s, there was leaded gas and there were all kinds of additives and everything. So, and then it probably, after the years was sitting and it maybe had a full tank of gas and it all evaporated away and left a bunch of varnish, just like you'd have a gas tank in a car. Some of these tanks, maybe they got water in there, they got rusted out. Well, we just got to clean it and Coswell it. All these tanks can be saved with Coswell. Literally, it's like they can be saved. It's not even a problem. So like I say, literally there ain't a lot of parts of this thing, but it's like, some people just aren't good at this type of thing, and they try to put it back together, and they leave parts out or something, and I could see how people with the spacers could get all confused and all, but at the end of the day, it's really a relatively well-designed and simple lantern. So yeah, but there it is. And there's Danny's other decal right there. Did a great job. I took measurements and sent him the pictures of the ruler going across there so you could get the right dimensions and all, and he did a great job. I did not have another leather the pump cup, so I ended up I had one sitting around from another lantern that I got at parts that was in great shape, and it worked perfect in there, and it's a nice supple used one that just fits like a glove. It's just perfect. So we got real lucky on that, and I got lucky with the globe. The globe is, like I say, it's an all original, and these things are glass, and they break, so to find one like this is like, I get really lucky on that. So these guys right here, this one was my test subject. Not that I bought it for that, but I ended up putting an inner screen. So what happens with these, and like I say, I'm not a big camper, and the only reason I'm not a big camper is my son's autistic and I don't want to lose him in the forest, okay? And I'm a busy man, and I got a family to take care of, so I don't have a whole lot of time to be running off camping and all. But I did when I was younger. But these lanterns, when people would take them camping, they're a backpack lantern. A lot of times the globe, it doesn't take much to break the globe, and then you're pretty much in a situation. Well, I guess you could use it without a globe as long as there's no wind. Your mantle might hold up and all. But I made this mesh globe as an inner, and so if the outer globe, the glass one, were to break, you're still in pretty good shape. You could just use that mesh globe. So that's where I came up with that, and I like it. And I'll probably make one for the other two. But I'm gonna get one more of these, because I want to have one for each of our family members in my family. One for my, well, right now one is my daughter's, one is my son's, one's mine, and I need one for my wife. So we're gonna make an acquisition of one more, and I want to make a tradition to light these up on maybe Christmas. Every Christmas we'll light them up. I think it would have some hot chocolate. I just think that would be a really cool little tradition to do. It's like, I remember when I was little, it's like school, we always used to make ornaments, and my mom used to save them, and it's like every year when we decorate a tree, we always put the kids' ornaments on, right? And I still do that with our kids. And every year we go to Pottery Barn. We didn't, I don't know if we did this year, but we did in the past. We go to Pottery Barn and each of the kids would get a new ornament, and they would get added to the collection, our special ornaments. So yeah, traditions are great, you know. Anyway, I'm gonna let you go because we've dragging on here. We're probably at about 15 minutes or so, but God bless you all, and thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate every one of you that tunes into my channel, and I would appreciate if you could share. If you're new to this channel, like to subscribe, that would be great. I would really appreciate it. And like I say, I'm gonna have more content coming every couple of days. I always try to find something, and I got some really great cooking things coming up really soon that you're gonna like. So yeah, stay tuned for that. So yeah, we'll see you later. And again, thank you for tagging along, and thank you for being around so I can share my newest refurbishment. And you have a great week. All right, God bless.